Good morning, friends. It's been a while since I have posted a video, and I thought about writing this thought out this morning, but instead I thought it would be easier to just try to make a short video. I am in the process of setting up a YouTube site channel where I could post some videos more freely, but in the meantime I really wanted to share this thought. In the Gospels, toward the end of Jesus' life, Jesus was sharing some things with his disciples. And at the Last Supper in particular, something very interesting stood out to me. And I want to read a couple verses here regarding his last words to his disciples while they were together. In Luke's version of the Last Supper, Luke chapter 22, verse 35, Jesus said to his disciples, "When I sent you without purse and scrip and shoes, lacked ye anything?" And they said, "Nothing." And he's referring to the time when he had earlier in his ministry had sent his disciples out 2 by 2 to minister to people. They cast out devils, they healed people, they had some incredible miracles take place. And when he had sent them out at that time, he said, "Don't take anything with you." He said, your ministry will provide for you, and people will take care of you." And he said at that time, even, he said, "If people don't receive you, wipe the shoes of your feet off at their door and walk away." But he says in the very next verse, verse 36 of chapter 22 of Luke, he said that was before. He said, "But now," he said unto them, "but now he that hath a purse, let him take it." You got some cash? You better stick it in your pocket. Okay, you're going to need some cash now. Times are different now than they were earlier in my ministry. The political scene has changed. And likewise also, his scrip money, and he that hath no sword, listen to this, and he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. He said, you need to take your coat and go buy one. Now, clothing was a very essential part of a person's inventory back then. And he said, this is so important that you need to have yourself a weapon, even if it means you have to go and sell part of your apparel that's hanging in your closet, even though they didn't have 16 suits of clothes back then, understand. He said, you need to go sell some of your clothes and buy yourself a sword, because you are going to need a sword. For I say unto you, he said, this is going to happen to me. This is going to be accomplished as it was talked about by the prophets. And verse 38, the disciples said to him, "Behold, Lord, here are 2 swords." In other words, we've got 2 swords just laying around here among us, among the 12 of us. And he said unto them, "It is enough." And pretty interesting that Jesus told them toward the end that you need to have some kind of weaponry for your own protection. And as we read through the rest of the story where Jesus goes to the Garden of Gethsemane, we find out exactly the intent of the swords and what they are to be used for and what they're not to be used for. Because when you read through, and you have to go to a couple of the different Gospels to find out what happened in the garden. Many people are familiar with the story where Peter grabbed one of the swords. When the soldiers came to take Jesus away to arrest him, he grabbed a sword and he cut off the right ear of Malchus, who was the servant of the high priest. And right before he did that, he made the proclamation, or asked the question, "Lord, these guys are coming at us. Should we be aggressive and take the initiative? Should we advance? Should we smite with the sword? Is this where we advance and be the first ones to say, hey, you're not taking our master away?" And before he got an answer, he cut off Malchus's ear, and then Jesus reached down and touched Malchus's ear and healed him. And Matthew records it this way. He said, put your sword again in your place, Peter. And this is how he said it. He said, for all they that take the sword shall die by the sword. Let me see if I can find it real quick here in my other reference here of Scripture. Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. That's Matthew 26:52. Well, that sounds contradictory, because Jesus had told them, he said, you need to take this weaponry thing so seriously that if you don't have one, go sell some of your clothes and get yourself a sword. And yet now when Peter's using it, he's saying, no, don't do that. What's the contradiction here? Here's what Jesus is saying. He said, at this point in time, you need to have weapons for your own personal self-defense. But he's saying, don't take those weapons and go out there and start a war yourself. You need to have them for self-defense, but not for you to initiate violence or any kind of conflict. And folks, I really believe that this is the time in which we are living right now. You can say what you want. Well, we're Christians. We need to just pray about everything and God will take care of it because he's got it all in control. No, folks. This is different. Jesus had made the contrast with his disciples from just a couple of years before, where he had sent them out without anything, without money or anything. But he said now things are different. He said now you need to take some money with you. You need to make sure you're storing up. And he said, some extra script, your purse, and he said, and buy yourself a sword, even if you have to go sell something to go buy it. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, as Christians, you need to have some kind of weaponry for self-defense in your house. Now, you say, well, I got some steak knives in the drawer. Whatever you consider weaponry, that's fine. But we are coming up on a time right now where you need to have something for self-defense, not for you to go out and into the streets. Don't go down to downtown Portland on purpose right now looking for a fight, but you need to have something in your house where you can defend yourself. This is biblical, folks, okay? So I'm calling this, it's time to grab your sword, because we need to be ready and prepared. Yes, we need to keep praying. Yes, God's in control, but we need to make sure that we are prepared for the time that is to come. And whatever happens, happens. But I want to make sure that I've done everything that I can according to Scripture to prepare myself for the days ahead.